Hello everyone and welcome back to some more Warhammer Warcry for the channel. This series is available first to channel members, so hello channel members, thank you for the extra support you're willing and able to show the channel, and everyone else once you see this in about a week or so. Today the Gorger Mawpack are back, going up against a similarly numbered Flesh Eater Courts team for the first time, I believe, in the entire series. Eventually they'll be running more than a kind of elite heavy team, but for now we're going with what's painted, but we'll get onto that in a second. Let's start with the old familiar team though. The Gorger Mawpack's broken into Dagger, Hammer, Shield, 2-1-2. And from the left to right, Dagger is the clawback plus the Gorger who forgot to bring his club to work today. In the Hammer, we have the one who has the great club. And then finally in the Shield, we have the single-handed club with the Cave Howler at the front. They're not good at howling, they just like doing it. That's fine. And, well, they're very dependent on what mission we end up randomizing, because if they get anything that keeps a lot of them off the table, it's almost a guaranteed loss. But that's the RNG of Warcry for you. And here are the Flesh Eater Courts, aka the undead that have like the sickness that makes them think they're noble knights or whatever. Broken into Dagger, Hammer, Shield, 2-2-1 instead of 2-1-2. So, as the dog hits the tripod, good job. In the Dagger, we have the Abhorrent Archregent along with one Crypt Flare, which is the Crypt Flare is the kind of pallid one with the wings. Then in the Hammer, we have a simple itty bitty Crypt Ghoul. He's only 55 points, he's there to die and fill out space, and he is next to the Crypt Haunter Courtier, or Courtier, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Either way, that's the other hero in the list. And then finally, the Shield is simply a second Crypt Flare. They're worth 235 points each. They are strong, but you know, expensive. They come to 980 points on the dot to the Gorger Mawpack's 1000 on the dot. So with that, we will go randomize our mission and twist. Alright, let's see what we're getting today. We're gonna, oh, those cards are very stuck together. Let's just take this one then, since they're sticking. We are doing the Ritual. At the end of each battle round, oh hang on, let's start up here. The players roll off, the winner chooses who's the attacker, who's the defender. The defender places one objective on a platform more than 6 inches from the battlefield edge. That should be possible. At the end of each battle round, if a defender scores d6 ritual points, subtract 1 from the roll to a minimum of 1 if the attacker has any fighters within 3 of the objective. Subtract 3 instead of 1 to a minimum of 1 if the attacker has 3 or more fighters within 3 inches. If the score of the ritual points exceeds 12, the defenders win the battle. Okay. Otherwise, it ends at the end of the 4th battle round. If the score is 12 or less, the battle ends and the attacker wins. Okay, that seems interesting enough. And then, let's do this a bit different. We're just going to say this one. Why not? Clash of Blades is going to be our layout, with only the shields coming on late. So that actually works out best for both sides, really. Although the Gorger Mawpack has 2 models in their shield to the 1 for the Flesh Eater Courts. And the twist, so many potential twists. Look at them all. Look at them all. Let's go with this one. The Gore Moon Rises. Okay, add 1 to the value of abilities to a maximum of 6 used by all fighters. So for when you use abilities, sometimes they use the value of the die that you've used to spend the double, triple, etc. So now they're going to count as 1 higher. Could potentially be good. Alright, we'll be back with everything set up and who's going attacker, defender, etc. after this quick word from my channel sponsor. This video is sponsored by Noble Knight Games. Check out the video description below for an affiliate link that will take you through to their store, and it will help me out as well. Thanks. Alright, with that done, we are all deployed. So after the roll off, the Gorger Mawpack won the choice and opted to be the attacker, because the attacker is deploying via Clash of Blades in the only location the objective can be placed, so that gives them an insane advantage, because the defenders are, well, you can see them easier. I'll have to give you a different camera angle for the attackers, but the defenders deploy down here and down here. The objective for the ritual has to be on a platform more than 6 inches away, so the only acceptable point is just down in there. So that is where the ritual is taking place. I guess the Gorger Mawpack got the drop on them while they were doing something else, and now they're rushing back to try and defend it, with both teams' shields coming on next turn. And here's another angle on the ruins. So this is where the Gorger Mawpack has deployed, with Dagger there and Hammer just down there. You can just about see his great club, and the objective itself is right in the corner up there. So the Flesh Eater Courts are really going to have to murder the Gorger Mawpack to be able to avoid the point gathering. It always goes down to a minimum of 1, but it needs to get to 12. So I guess we'll see what happens. And with that, let's go to the dice for round 1. And here's how the dice shook out. The Gorger Mawpack rolled a natural double 6, and they've turned a single 5 into a double with 3 singles. The Flesh Eater Courts had a natural double 2, double 4, and they used their wild die to turn a single 1 into a double 1. So for the Gorman Rises, if they were using that ability, not that they would on anything other than like a rush, but if they did, it would count as a 2, so that's what it's doing. So they have a single 3, which means that the Gorger Mawpack are going first. I can already tell this is going to be an awkward one for positioning models without knocking over platforms. The Clawback got the game started, move and then a move, which was a climb, to get right up to the shiny object, and now he's telling all his Gorger friends, hey, there's a shiny thing here, we should guard this for some reason. So he is standing right on it, and now that already means it drops by what, a minimum of 1, and then it drops by 3 if there's 3 or more, something like that. And it only goes up at a minimum of 1, but a maximum of d6. First action for the Flesh Eater Courts was an insane zoom across the table by the Crypt Flare, who started down by the Abhorrent Archregent. Their base move is 10 inches and they can fly, so essentially a 20-inch threat range if they use 2 movement actions. He did, and that was to get into combat with the Clawback there, and more importantly just to try and deny some space on the platform next to the objective to try and keep the ritual at a, well, it's definitely getting a negative, but as little a negative as possible. The Gorger that forgot his club activated and has just moved under the platform into the darkness under there, staring at the window, waving at the approaching Flesh Eater Courts, I guess. And even though it tells you to play it on a platform, it isn't specific about whether or not you're helping to contest it from a different layer. Presumably you are, so that's how we're going to play it, but not 100% sure on that. The Abhorrent Archregent spent the double 1 on Rush for some extra inches. He only moves 5 inches, I say only just in regard to a model that can move 10, and has done 2 movement actions, got him to the door of the ruined church over here, and he'll fight something, but not this turn. And the final activation of turn 1 already for the Gorger Mawpack was the Gorger with the Great Club. He just moved into the darkness with his friend under there because there isn't any other room for him to do anything, and none of them have ranged attacks either. That left 2 activations for the Flesh Eater Courts, the Crypt Haunter Courtier and the Crypt Ghoul, both of which spent their other doubles on Rush to get some extra inches of movement, and both of them have just double moved, so we're just showing where they both ended up. The Crypt Haunter is a bit more of a threat because he's closer, he had slightly longer range and a larger base than the tiny expendable Crypt Ghoul, who is at the back there. Kind of like Chain Rasps for the Night Haunt. They're only really going to work in a horde. And more are on the painting table. They'll be along sooner or later. But that takes us to the end of the first round. No hits thrown, but we do have to cover the ritual now. So for the ritual, at the end of each battle round, the defender rolls a d6 to score that many ritual points. Subtract 1 from it to a minimum of 1 if there is any fighters, but if there is 3 or more, you subtract 3. And it was a 1. So the ritual points add up to a total of 1 for this round. That was some bad luck. As we begin round 2 of 4, reinforcements come on the shields for both sides, and the shield for the Flesh Eater Courts had the entirety of this edge to deploy on, so the other Crypt Flare has arrived there. And this is the unluckier part of the deployment for the Gorger Mawpack, is their reinforcements, their shield with the Crypt Howler and the other Gorger with the single-handed club. They're in the top right corner because that was the only part of the edge that was visible thanks to that house being where it is. So they're a little out of the way and won't be immediately available to help. Let's go to the dice. And here's how the dice shook out. It ended up being a bit of a draw. The Gorger Mawpack rolled a double 3 and have turned a single 6 into a double 6, leaving them 3 singles. The Flesh Eater Court rolled a natural double 5 and have turned a single 4 into a double, also leaving them with 3 singles. The roll-off has already occurred. A 4 versus a 2 means it is the Gorger Mawpack going first, so I imagine that Crypt Flare is going to get smacked upside the head. Also, because they are so tightly packed over there in those ruins, what we'll probably do this time is keep damage on their cards, but just try and keep track and let you know how many wounds are left for anything that is getting hit. So, the first activation for turn 2 for the Gorger Mawpack was the Clawback. successfully turned him around. It was a very careful endeavour, and he's smacking that Crypt Flare. So across 2 attacks, he gets 4 attacks at strength 5, so a total of 8 were thrown against a toughness 4, so looking for 3s, and he had some good results. So we just pan down here, only successes have been left behind. 2 crits and a hit, and then a crit and 2 hits in the second barrage. In total, that all adds up with a 3/6 whipping to 27 damage. But get this, Crypt Flares have 28 wounds, so he lived on 1 wound. He should have used one of those doubles for Onslaught. Thought it wouldn't be necessary, and look at that, he lived with exactly the right amount of health. And of course we're staying over here because the Crypt Flare activated first for the Flesh Eater Courts to try and do something before someone else maybe gets a killing blow on him. And they have 4 attacks at strength 4 with a 2-4 split, and across 2 attacks also did pretty well. We'll have to come back down here to see the dice again. There they are, he got a crit and 2 hits in the first barrage, and 2 crits and 2 hits on the second barrage. There's a better angle on it. And that all together equals 20 damage to the Clawback. Clawback is tanky, he has 35 wounds, so he has 15 left. But that's 15 damage he should not have had to take if he'd just secured the kill. The Gorger with the Great Club activated and clambered up onto the platform so he could take a swing at the Crypt Flare. He only rolls 2 attacks with that Great Club, but they're at strength 6 with a 4/8, so he's even stronger than the boss, although he rolls much less attacks. He just needed 1 to succeed. They both did because he's going up against toughness 3. So with gentle care, with very, very gentle care, so okay, there, yep, okay, safely removed the first casualty. This is interesting because basically the whole game is taking part in one table quarter because everyone is just here and so is the thing they need. The Abhorrent Archregent activated. He moved in through the door. He does 4 attacks at strength 4. He did one of those barrages into the Gorger without any club whatsoever and managed in total to just get 3 basic attacks through for 3 damage each. So 9 of his 30 wounds. I think he's a 3/6. So deep in the dark under there, and because the only other 2 activations are just going to be moving towards where the fight's happening, it made sense to activate the Gorger without any weapon and to strike back against our Abhorrent Archregent twice. 4 attacks at strength 4 versus toughness 4 with a 3/5 I think split, something like that. His first set of 4 attacks got literally 0 successes. The first absolute whiff of the game. Second set of 4 attacks had 3 normal successes for 9 damage. The Abhorrent Archregent, and I'm going to have to come around here to see how many wounds he has because I have no idea. He has 25 wounds in total, so he's lost 9, and that means he has, what, 26 left? And by 26 I meant 16, which is the correct amount. Yeah, we're staying in the darkness because the Crypt Haunter activated. That's where he does his best work, I'm sure. He is a 4 attacks at strength 4 model with a 2/5 split, so he's really looking for crits. Spent a double on Onslaught for that extra attack since he had to move in, so it was only 1 set of attacks, so 5 dice up from the starting 4, and he managed to get 4 hits through, 0 crits. So that is just 8 more damage on top of what he already had, so he's up to a total of 17 wounds of his 30, so just over half gone. The only 2 activations left for the Gorger Mawpack are the 2 in the shield that came on, so they're very far away from the action, and 2 sets of doubles have been saved to give them rush. The Gorger using a single club used rush, gave him 12 inches, and now he's given that little crypt ghoul the fright of his life because 12 inches was enough to get within an inch of him, so he's now locked in combat with him. Couldn't attack, but it does mean that the ghoul's kind of stuck there now unless he does disengage first. The Codex Astartes does not support this action, but luckily that's the wrong universe. The Crypt Flare activated and flew up onto that very rickety platform. This is not going to end well. And decided to attack the Great Club wielding Gorger Mawpack, or Gorger rather, with 4 attacks, strength 4, etc. Got 2 crits and 1 hit through for 10 damage on the dot, so that's a third of his health gone. And the final activation of round 2 of 4 for the Gorger Mawpack was the Cave Howler, used their other double for rush, moved a total of 12 inches and almost got into the table quadrant where everything is happening, but taking a different route to where the one with the single-handed club went. And now it is over to that terrified Crypt Ghoul to end off the round. And the little Crypt Ghoul thought, well, why not, I'll fight this thing that's assaulted me. I've got a rock in my hand, I don't know if it's visible, but he is holding a pointy rock. So they have 3 attacks at strength 3 with a 1/2 split, I think. So going up against toughness 3, he was needing 4s, and managed across 2 sets of 3 attacks to get 2 normal hits for 2 damage. So that's 2 out of 30, 28 more to go. And I think that's it for the round now. It is indeed. So now on to the ritual. How much does it go up by? That didn't roll on camera, but we'll take it. It was a 4. However, there is still 3. Actually, let's see, how close is he? Yeah, he is. There is 3 within 3 inches, and it was a 3 inch, right? Yes. So if there's more than 3, the attacker has 3 or more fighters within 3 of the objective. Subtract 3. So it's 1 again then. So that means to have any chance to get to 12 in 4 turns, they would need to get at least, well, hang on. So they have 10 points left to get. So they would have to get at least 8. At 8. What am I talking about? 4. If they get 4, that leaves them with 6, and that does mean there's a literal chance for the final round. But if they don't score at least 4 at the end of round 3, there's no need to play the final round, because they literally can't win. So, that is interesting. Okay, so it might be abrupt and quick, depending on how round 3 goes. Let's go on to the dice for that. And here is what could be the very decisive dice roll. The Gorger Mawpack rolled a double 6, a double 5, which they have turned into a triple, leaving 2 singles. The Flesh Eater Corpse have a triple 4 naturally rolled, a natural double 3, and have turned a single 5 into double, leaving them with nothing. So it is the Gorger Mawpack going first again, but these could be used for some good abilities, the triples on both sides. So round 3 got started with the Great Club wielding Gorger attacking the Crypt Flare he's engaged with. He spent their triple on Maddened Blows, which has a bit of flavour, but essentially just means you get crits on 5s instead of just on 6s. It ended up not mattering. Across 2 attacks with only 2 dice each, he got 1 normal success and 1 crit. But he does hit really hard with that. 2 normal successes rather. 2 normal successes, 1 crit. But those crits are worth 8, and the normal wounds are worth 4. So that was 16 damage in total to the Crypt Flare there, who is still standing, but is hurting. From within the darkness of what's going on under there, the Crypt Haunter Courtier activated, spent a double on Onslaught, so 1 extra attack die for the first attack. So 5 at strength 4, then 4 at strength 4. His first barrage got 3 normals, 1 crit, and then his second barrage got 1 normal, 2 crits. In total, that is 15 wounds alone from the crits, and I believe 8 from the normals, so that is 23, and he had 10 damage already, and he's a 31 model, so he is dead. And now, against my better judgment, I'm going to try and get rid of him. I'm going to have to move the Archregent. I know where he is, he's right in front of the door. Come on. It's like playing Jenga. Come on. There we go. He's out of there. Go back to your door. This is his... Well, actually was probably there from a previous turn. Easy! Wasn't worried about a single model falling. I don't know what you're talking about. The Gorger with a single club activated has swung once into the Crypt Ghoul, getting a crit and a hit, which is 9 damage against an 8 wound itty bitty model. So there is the poor little fella who got jump scared previous turn gone. He still has an action left. He is going to move his 5 inches around the corner here to try and get into combat with the Crypt Haunter. The Crypt Flare activated and swung into the Great Club wielding Gorger for 2 sets of 4 attacks, although 5 in the first one because a double was spent on Onslaught, and the first set of dice were all successes. Only 4 normal hits though and 1 crit. The second set of 4 attacks was just 3 successes. It's a 2/4 damage, so not super great damage. They're one of those models that they're large and fast, they're not super killy really, but with the damage done there, which I believe was 18 in total, puts him at 28, so he has 2 wounds left. But I don't think anyone can get to him to finish him off, and it's important to get rid of him just to remove the number of people affecting the ritual. The Cave Howler moved twice around the building for a total of 10 inches, did not get into combat with the Abhorrent Archregent. Is, as the crow flies, still within 3 of the objective, which again presumably counts. Very difficult to get an angle on, but the last activation of the round already for the Flesh Eater Corpse was the Abhorrent Archregent. Could not get up there to try and finish off the one with the clubs or to go after the clawback. So he did a movement action. Oh, careful. He did a movement action to get into base to base with the one with the single-handed club and just swung at him, spending their triple as a double for onslaught and only getting 3 normal hits through. His normal hits do 3 though, so that was still 9 more damage to him, putting the single-handed club one up to 11 damage in total of his 30 wounds. And that leaves the clawback, but I don't think he's going to be doing much. Yeah, the clawback is just activating and unactivating. He's celebrating finding the shiny thing that's his. He's the only one who can usually pick stuff up for his team anyway, which is another reason they're usually so terrible. He's just contemplating how to do it is all. So really it just comes down to the end of round roll on the ritual point, and 3 of them are within 3 inches of it. 1, 2 and the cave pillar down here. Again, it depends if you count as the crow flies. I guess we'll see if it matters based on the roll. Alright, let's see what the roll is on the ritual. Oh, it's a 5, but again, there is technically, well, we've been playing it as the crowfly counts, which means it comes down by 3 and scores 2, putting it at 4, which would mean it's absolutely impossible to get 12, even if the maximum is scored in the final round. So, if it wasn't as the crow flies, there would not be 3 within 3 inches, there'd only be 2 of them, meaning it would only come down by 1, which would be 4, which is actually exactly the right amount to keep the game going, because that would mean the ritual points in total are at 6, and that gives them that final round to try and get 6 again. It would have to be a natural roll of a 6 with no negatives, so everyone around it would have to die. There couldn't even be one person, because that would reduce it to 5. It would have to be they all die and then a natural 6 is rolled, which also isn't really going to happen. But hey, you know what? Let's see if I can get a 6 here. Oh, you would do that, wouldn't you? It was a 6. Is it super likely they'd eradicate the rest of them? I think the one with the great club would probably die. Yeah, the cave howler, he's got 15 wounds left. That's doable in one attack, I suppose. The cave howler, again, if we're playing it as crow flies, she's full health with 30 wounds, so that probably wouldn't happen. But anyway, if we count it as crow flies, which we have been doing, the match is already over. But that is kind of funny that if it did go the distance, it would come down to could they murder them, which I guess we could technically play. But as I say, I don't think they can do enough damage with how many wounds left the Gorgers have. So they need this win. They always lose. So let's give the Gorgers their win. And with that win assigned to the Gorger Mawpack, that is where we're going to call it. Obviously I couldn't have known what we were going to randomise. I wish the only platforms I hadn't put on the map were up there. It would be nice if it was like central. That would have made it a bit easier to film as well. But that's just the RNG of Warcry, and that's the aspect of Warcry that I really enjoy. It's just you don't know what you're going to get until you get it. Speaking of which, the twist didn't really affect anything because the only powers used were universal ones. And even if they had used some of their specific ones, like when the Flesh Eater Courts die, I think they can do a scream, but it has to be a triple. Like none of them use the value of the dice beyond it being a double or a triple for the most part, so wouldn't have done anything. But that's just the randomness of twists as well. Hope you've enjoyed either way. Please do remember to show your support, and once again this is available first to channel members along with many of my video series on the channel as a thank you for the support they're willing and able to show that help keep the videos coming as fast as they can. You can also check out the channel sponsor to pick up something for yourself via the affiliate link. If you buy anything through that link, I get compensated. Or if you just want to help in a one-off kind of way, press the thanks button. Or if you want to help for free, liking and commenting and subscribing, sharing, all that good stuff. Enjoy the rest of your day and see you next time. Ta for now.